Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad and on Instagram and on Threads at Movies TV Mad X. I'm back. A very warm welcome to the latest edition of the Movies TV Mad Daily. Today I'm asking the question, how did we go from rtd1 to rtd2? I was listening to Murray Gold's music the other day for an entire day, every season. And I was thinking, the revival was so fucking good. And I know there's people trying to say, well, the rtd1 wasn't as good as people think it was, and all the best stuff was written by other people. Stop it. I've said this before. Please stop it. What RTD did was groundbreaking. He made Doctor Who a mainstream fucking show, popular all over the world. The creativity, the characterizations, the companions, bringing back old enemies, the Dalek episode. He didn't write that first Dalek episode, but he's the one who brought Sherman in to do it. He would have interacted certain things he wanted within that episode, right? RTD is a genius in the way he brought back Doctor Who. His 4 or 5 years was amazing. Moffat's era was amazing as well, warts and all. What those two men did with Doctor Who was amazing. And then there was Torchwood, which, to be fair to Chris Chibnall was heavily involved in Torchwood, and he did a good job. Obviously, RTD was involved and created the show. More of his genius. And Sarah Jane, the Sarah Jane Adventures for kids, but we all watched it as well. It was great, wasn't it? So he created this brilliant franchise. It's very rare to see a show being brought back. This wasn't a reboot. This was the continuation of the same show. Now, we can have the debate if it still feels like the same show as Classic Who. But what some of the older people don't understand is you have to modernise. But it was still the same show. As RTD said, it was always going to be a police box to TARDIS, not a portaloo. He kept faith with what Doctor Who was, but modernised it. So how do we go from rtd1 to rtd2? Because rtd2 is the ramblings, and I hate to be disrespectful to him because I really like Russell T Davies. I really do. I don't want you to get it twisted. It's the ramblings of an angry old man. It is. When you look, basically rtd1 is a full box. There's so many beautiful things. Captain Jack, for example. What a beautiful fucking character. Han Solo. Kind of a pansexual Han Solo. He's fucking amazing. And John Barrowman fucking nails it. And the writing for him nails it. Where are these beautiful things in the Chibnall era? The only good thing, actually, we'll get to Chibnall, because he did do one good thing, and that was Sasha. Sasha Dewan, I forgot his name. You know me and names. Sasha Dewan's master is brilliant. He may be my favourite master. Chibnall did that with his writing, and he deserves credit for that. Missy, right? The mistress, the master, played by Michelle Gomez. Another brilliant version of the master, maybe as equally as awesome as Sasha Dewan's master. So what you've got here, very interestingly, you have got diversity done good with Gomez and Dewan, and then you've got diversity done badly with Ncuti Gatwa and Jodie Whittaker. Basically, if there was a textbook on how to do diversity in the right way, you'd see you'd see Gomez and Dewan as those masters, and you'd say, fucking hell, that's diversity. Two talented, diverse talents performing these performing these characters. And then you've got Jodie Whittaker and you've got Ncuti Gatwa whose scripts offer nothing, which makes them look bad. It's not a good representation of the first female Doctor or the first full-time Doctor of colour. So it shows you there wasn't an incentive with Whittaker and Gatwa to do something compelling and brilliant and say, look, this is diversity, we're proud of it. Look how good these actors are. Look at the full body of scripts and character development we gave them. It's not there. How do you go from rtd1 to rtd2? I mean, the point is, after the Chibnall era, which I felt mostly had pacing, errors and pacing issues. I think that's my problem with the Chibnall era, is pacing more than anything else, because I never had an issue with a female doctor. I never had an issue with a black doctor. I don't think many people have a problem with a black doctor, by the way. I don't know in the marketing why they went down this kind of racism angle with Shooty telling people to eat grass. It seems weird, because that's what rtd2 is. It's just somebody shouting at their customers. It's like the showrunner of House of Dragons telling the audience off for looking up to Daemon Targaryen. He's a bad person. Why are you looking up to him? You should hate him. Imagine if this geezer's running Dallas when JR is the most popular character on television. Or EastEnders when Dirty Den is the most popular character on television. You know why we like the bad boys? Because they're fucking interesting. Not because we think they're good fucking people, you fucking jerkweed. I'm allowed to like a bad boy. I looked up to Alexis Colby in Dynasty, Patricia Hamilton in Sons and Daughters. Because they were interesting characters, not because I thought they were stand-up fucking people, you fucking idiot. And the showrunners and the writers who used to write these characters understood that. I love Kim Tate from Emmerdale. She's killed people, she's kick-ass, she's fucking brilliant. We love them because they're bold. This is the type of mentality in entertainment us, the audience, have to put up with today. And this is what got us from rtd1, which was brave and bold and exciting and interesting. RTD's ideology is all over rtd1, but it's done in a clever fucking way, and it's still boldly entertaining. What do you think the fucking Ood are? The Ood are a fucking slave race. What do you think he's saying? Half the audience don't even fucking notice what RTD's trying to say. I thought it was amazing. He did it in such a beautiful way. These wonderful aliens who just want to serve, but shouldn't be serving, should be free. And of course, it's an analogy of black people being slaves. It's a beautiful analogy, and the Dr. Donna freedom eventually. RTD's talent is there to be seen. But he took the knee to modern entertainment. I told you, RTD is no more woke than Adolf Hitler. He's not. I'm sorry, he's not. Yes, he's a lefty. He believes in compassion. He believes in charity. He believes in the benefit system. And obviously he wants better LGBTQ rights, which I agree with. Lots of debates to be had with that. But rtd1 has all his ideology. Good ideology in it. It's like Harold Saxon, clearly a Tory. I know he's the master, but he's an analogy for Tory scum, right? But it's done in the guise of entertainment while spreading that interesting message. What we're seeing now is like RTD hasn't even really written this. Although there are some red flags that he has, because he seems to be recycling himself, Chibnall and Moffat all at once. I just put on Twitter quoting something. Apparently the Anita Dobson, third wall thing when she starts talking at the end of the season may never be explained. And it's like, because you don't have an explanation, RTD. You're pulling these things out of your backside. Either because you don't have a clue what to do, or you're literally doing this on purpose to upset Doctor Who fans. And it's like what Chibnall did with the Timeless Children. He wanted to upset right-wingers. He knew the Timeless Children would upset right-wing fans, and they've been crying about it ever since. You know what I think about the Timeless Children? an interesting concept that, you know, could have really been opened up and explained. And I've spoken about it. If I was ever to have the honour to run Doctor Who, it's my dream to play the Doctor and be the showrunner of Doctor Who. I don't know if I've mentioned that before, and I have a vision and an idea and a plan for it. And I basically know what I would do with the Timeless Children. First of all, I would talk to Chibnall, at the very least to kind of get an idea of what his idea was. But I think ultimately what you've got to say is that basically the Doctor comes from another reality where there's another Gallifrey. So the Doctor comes from Gallifrey, right? But another version of Gallifrey, right? So they come out of that reality and end up on another Gallifrey, right? That's the kind of bullshit I would do. What you do with this is say, nothing's changed. It's all the same. And then we just move on, right? We just move on with it, right? So, yeah, I mean, I would look at doing a multiverse kind of thing and combining the two Gallifreys or something like that. I think, because you have to fix it. RTD's mentioned it and everyone's going, oh, he's going to do the Timeless Children. He's not. He's not going to touch it because he doesn't know what to do with it. I know. Any clever person knows. And the way I want to do it, by combining two multiverse versions of Gallifrey and saying, yeah, you are the Timeless Children, or saying actually the Master just corrupted, you know, the Matrix, and actually the Master is the Timeless Child. You can even do that somehow with bullshit. There's a couple of things you could do. Combining the two Gallifreys means you don't red pill what he's done. You respect it, but you find a way to move on. And I would have to touch it. I would have to deal with it because the Timeless Children is so damaging. And as I say, the idea in its essence is actually quite interesting. Well, everything you know is a lie. That's intriguing. You come from another universe. That's intriguing. What the fans hate, that there's other versions of the Doctor before William Hartnell. It's a big change in the canon. And it was all done not to create a good idea, but to upset right-wing Doctor Who fans, because the entertainment industry are at war with the right-wing viewers. This is what's going on. Now, I'll be clear. I'm not a right-winger. I don't have any problems with right-wingers. I don't agree with your policies or politics, but you're welcome on this platform. I love you. Lots of right-wing friends. I'm a left-winger. My politics are if someone's on the floor, I'm going to help them up. That's my simple politics, right? If you don't agree with that, hey, shake my hand, you know, agree to disagree. We've been here before. But that's what's going on. And rtd2 is the continuation of trying to upset right-wing Doctor Who fans. And it's what's happening at Disney Star Wars. The entertainment is at war, the entertainment industry is at war with the right wing. And they're taking a sledgehammer to good entertainment. I said the other day, you couldn't make Smallville, the TV, one of my favourite TV shows, one of my favourite versions, adaptations of the Superman myth. It wouldn't happen today because the talent isn't there. The motivation to go out and make a good piece of storytelling is no longer there. They're too busy trying to wind up the right wing. And they constantly pretending they're supporting the trans community when all they're doing is gaslighting the trans community. Basically making the trans community the villains of the piece, using them as these conversations when actually the trans community need protecting from the entertainment industry itself. So it's all politics now. It's the left-wing entertainment industry versus the right-wing fandom. I've just been on Twitter. Nerdrodic is all over the place talking about The Acolyte. I'm actually bored of the conversations of The Acolyte. Not watching it, don't care about it. And it's like what I said about rtd2. A serious person can't sit there and evaluate rtd2 critically because it wasn't made for those reasons. It wasn't made for serious people who want to see entertainment, who want to enjoy entertainment. It was made for a different reason. There's a lot of things in rtd2. There's the messaging I kind of agree with, but the messaging isn't done well. That's that moment when they won't get on the Doctor's TARDIS because it looks like he's a black man, right? I think that's the idea, right? in Dot and Bubble, and you've got Shooty Gatwa, so frustrated. I get it. The idea is interesting. The idea is good. I'm not necessarily sure the execution of that idea was done well. Do you know why? Because RTD has become too much on the nose. Let's go back to the Ood. The Ood are not black aliens. They look very different and unique, right? But they don't look like black people, right? It's not on the nose to show, as an analogy of what black people went through as slaves. But it's there. It's there. But RTD has gone down the modern route of hitting you over the head with a sledgehammer. And that's the problem with the moment at the end of Dot and Bubble. It's so blatantly on the nose, I'm surprised the nose didn't explode and start bleeding. I'm surprised my nose didn't explode. It was being hit so hard and started bleeding. That's the problem with modern entertainment. rtd2 is now in the realms of Disney Star Wars and Disney Marvel, where they're at war with right-wing audiences. I'm tired. And I've said before, I'm not going to stop watching Doctor Who, especially when it's run by RTD, in the hope that he may do something, he may go back to doing something interesting again. He may find some good ideas. In the second series, I'm hoping he calms down a bit with the anger against the right-wing audience. But he's at war. The industry is at war. The right-wing audience are at war with the entertainment industry, and the left-wing entertainment industry are at war with right-wing fans. And who suffers? Us, the people who love Doctor Who, who want to see great Doctor Who, as we did in rtd1 and in the Moffat era. And right now, it is not possible to go back to great entertainment. It doesn't matter if we're talking about films, TV, Doctor Who, anything. Think about a show like 24, starring Kiefer Sutherland. So groundbreaking, it lit the blue touch paper. You would never get a show like 24 anymore, even if they redid 24. It simply wouldn't work because of the modern way they would make it. It would lack that spirit and personality. 24 was all about an adrenaline rush, right? It was an adrenaline rush show. And today's entertainment lacks the talent of understanding what is needed. They're saying to their right-wing audience, this is what we're going to do. If you don't like it, don't watch. And this is where we are today. So if you're asking me how did we go from rtd1 to rtd2, it's quite simple. It's a political war. It's a tug of war. And the entertainment industry is being damaged. Why has the entertainment industry fallen so low? When you don't replace old pioneers with new pioneers, but also the biggest damaging thing to the entertainment industry is modern society. Because we've become a society that has to mind its P's and Q's. We can't joke about certain things. Can we joke about anything anymore? I can't say I find a woman attractive anymore. I can't say, oh, I wouldn't mind some of, I can't even say that anymore. Women can, I've seen them. I've walked past women. Oh yeah, boy, yeah, I like some of you. Wouldn't mind squeezing that butt. They can say what they like. So it's okay for some to say these things, and it's not okay for others to say these things. So basically, we are in a world that's afraid to talk, to express itself, to express its personality. Entertainment is all about self-expression. And once the freedom to have self-expression is gone in art and performance and writing, even music, it's dead. There's nothing there. If we're all afraid to speak, how can we make great entertainment? It's like the Friends comedy. It hasn't aged well, the jokes are bad, but that was what it was about back then. You could joke about anything. Anything was fair game. And Friends wasn't just a sitcom, it created great, compelling characters. Chandler's parents splitting up, his father being a gay man and a trans person, And then, Chandler being confused about his sexuality. Some people even thinking he's gay. You got Phoebe, who lived on the streets as a teenager and whose mother put her head in the oven. These are very, very compelling characters, but it was also a very funny show. And Monica, comfort eating as a child and becoming overweight and then becoming OCD as an adult. These was very, very interesting characters, funny characters. I wouldn't necessarily say they were nice characters. I mean, how many people were hurt by the Ross and Rachel thing? There was Julie, there was the bald girl that Rachel made shave her head off, right? Not head, literally, but hair off, right? But this was old style entertainment. I still watch Friends on a loop, and it's fucking hilarious. And at the end of the day, some of it may be, there's a joke because Joey cried or something. I think, Ross and Chandler are making fun of Joey because they play cards and Joey cried. So these were the kind of things in the old days that were funny, and it's not cool now to mock a man for crying. It's nothing wrong with crying, is there? Back in the day, we were all a little bit more macho. Oh my God, you cried, what a sissy. We're not like, I'm happy we're here now and not there. But Friends was made in the 90s. It wasn't made now. You can't expect the show to be modern when you watch it 20 years later or something. That's on you. If you can't have the emotional intelligence to say, well, it's old. It's like when you watch an old 60s show and all the women are at home making apple pies. You can't expect them to take a time machine to the 21st fucking century where women are all go-getters. Of course, there was women in the 60s that were go-getters as well. Look at all those actresses, Vivian Leigh, Olivia de Havilland, great actresses. Judy Garland. There was lots of female go-getters back in the day. But it's just different. You just got to accept times have changed. It's a bit like Doctor Who when people get upset that New Who wasn't like the classic era. Well, the classic era was made with a very low budget and you had to use your imagination to go there because you could see that they didn't have the money to do the costumes, but the costumes were very interesting and you just used your imagination. The Daleks, that there was someone pushing those wheels around, but you used your imagination. Maybe saying that's something we've lost now. CGI takes the element of imagination. But ultimately, rtd1 is this brilliant. It's like an Alice in Wonderland hole. The deeper you go into the hole, the more you find in rtd1 and the Moffat era. And with rtd2, it's a small hole that you get stuck in and you have to come out of straight away. There's really nothing good there. I think Bonnie Langford was literally the only thing I enjoyed in the finale. In the double finale, I thought Bonnie Langford was the best there. She was amazing as Mel. It really felt like an evolved, older Mel. He wrote her brilliantly. And I'll tell you why. Because she wasn't going to take any shit. So he knew to get her back, he had to give her good material. And he did. When she was becoming like part of that alien god thing, she performed really well. She was the best thing. Bonnie Langford was the best thing. She may not be your favourite companion, but I thought she was the best thing about that finale, which I've already reviewed and wasn't that impressed with, if you ask me. You can't expect Jodie Whittaker or Ncuti Gatwa to magic good Doctor Who from a bad script without any imagination, any passion. And here's the question I have for you. Was the black full-time Doctor and the first female Doctor given as good a material as the white guys were in New Who or even Classic Who? And when you come to the right answer of no, you have to ask yourself a question. Who are the racists and the bigots? Us, the customer, or Russell T Davies and Chris Chibnall? Why didn't you give your diverse doctors the great stuff that Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi got? The great stuff that Eccleston and Tennant got? Why? What's the difference? Why couldn't they be as deep and as complex as the white men? That's the question I would ask Russell and Chris Chibnall. I don't dislike Chris Chibnall. I'm not like other people. Oh, Chibnall. It's not like that. That's the right wingers mentality. That's not mine. I'd love a conversation with Chris. I'd love to talk to him. I think there's elements of his era that are so good. And RTD2 just makes the Chibnall era seem even better. Look, it's you know, I think RTD2 is my least favourite era of New Who. I think the Chibnall era coming second because of pacing and other elements. But his female Doctor could have been great. Jodie Whittaker is a very capable young actor. There's no question about that. She's able to act. As I say, you know, you can't expect actors are magical and they can give you great performance and great characterizations. But they need great directing, they need great scripts, they need the people who are creating these things to fucking care. And when they go out there and promote things and they say stuff, they just say stuff that they're told to say. I would very much doubt that Jodie Whittaker, Jodie Whittaker did actually do some good episodes about some interesting things, right? So she can be proud of them. But I think if Jodie Whittaker actually bothered to watch the previous New Who episodes with the other white guys, she'd think, shit, why didn't I get this? If Ncuti Gatwa had watched the earlier revival of Doctor Who, he'd be going, why didn't I get the great stuff of Tennant and Eccleston and Smith and Capaldi? Capaldi gets heaven sent. What does Ncuti get? Do you understand? Do you understand? So, as I said yesterday, as I'm listening to Murray Gold's music, right, and the music from the lad from the Chibnall era, I'm thinking, even the Chibnall era in a way, I'm thinking, look what we had. Look at the creativity we had. And we went from all that to RTD2, which is an era that doesn't try, doesn't want to try, doesn't want to give you anything. I mean, RTD's biggest crime, and I've mentioned it before, is the red pilling of Donna Noble's tragic ending. Taking that away from that character and the audience and Kathy. You know, because I know Kathy was proud of that. Disgusting. Her tragic ending should have stood and she should never have been used again. I mean, I was even worried when she was used in the two parts of End of Time that he would go back on the tragic ending. But he didn't. But it was clear if he was ever going to get his hands on Kathy again, he would red pill that. RTD is an old romantic. He does like happy endings, and I get it. But it just doesn't make... His explanation for her not being dead, the whole thing, if she remembers me, her mind will burn, and she will die. Well, she didn't die, did she? She didn't die. I mean, you could say she died and she came back, but ridiculous, and her daughter saved her, and it was all about, you know, being trans. Now, as beautiful as that is, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Or do I have to be gay or trans to actually understand what that meant? I don't think a trans person or a gay person would understand how RTD reverse engineered Donna's tragic ending. That's the worst thing that he did. And it still sticks in my throat that he did that. So there is no critiquing RTD2 because it wasn't made for those reasons. It cannot be taken seriously. Even if I was to sit here, which I've pulled it to pieces already and tried to analyze it, because that's what I do on this channel, right? We have to talk about things. But in reality, I shouldn't have bothered trying to critique any episode from RTD2 because they were not put there for those reasons. The modern day terms is left-wing entertainment versus right-wing audiences. And it takes us, the rest of us, the same people, out of the equation. All of a sudden, we don't have good entertainment. We have a load of rubbish made by untalented people. But RTD isn't an untalented man. You can't go back and say, well, RTD1 wasn't that good. That's pathetic. And that exposes you. And I'll always be grateful for RTD's genius in bringing back Doctor Who to a brand new audience and a continuing audience like me. What he did in RTD1 was fantastic, and that can never be taken away from the man. But he has become part of the culture war. RTD2 is part of the culture war. It's a lack of nuance in talking about modern day social issues. And it only wants to talk about bigotry and racism. It doesn't want to talk about hunger. It doesn't want to talk about all the problems in the world. Do you understand? This is what happened to Doctor Who. This is how we got from RTD1 to RTD2.